All right, opening statements, and we'll get started right here. And we'll start with Conrad Cable, followed by, okay, we'll just go in that order. How about that?
Instead of getting into too much about who I am, I think that we need to just mention the elephant in the room that is on everyone's minds. And I think I can speak for every person up here on stage. Today was a tough day, not just for our candidates, not just for you as the voters, but for our democracy. And the bravery and the strength and the sacrifice that all of us have shown in stepping up to run for this office under the guarantee of a closed primary and an election on May the 16th, our rights have been violated, and this is an absolute authoritarian power grab that is unacceptable. And I'm going to fight like hell to make sure that everyone's rights are respected and maintained. I'm Conrad Cable. My brother and my sister-in-law are here tonight. I own a farm in Union Parish. I'm the farmer from Farmerville, and I am running for Congress because the people of this district deserve more, not less. And we deserve better representation than what we've been getting with Speaker Mike Johnson, the third most powerful man in the country who has done everything in his power to make life harder for hardworking people and families here in his home. And first, he betrayed our real Louisiana values by acting like a bad neighbor, and now he's betrayed our American values, and it's time to hold him accountable.
Good evening. My name is Tania Nyman, and I am a candidate in the 5th Congressional District. I am a native of Louisiana, and I've been a longtime community advocate. I grew up in New Orleans, and I've lived in Baton Rouge for the past 24 years. As a community advocate, I got started fighting for public education when an effort to create a breakaway school district started. When I got started, it was Southeast Baton Rouge Community School System, but you may know it as the St. George Community School System, which is currently on your ballot for the constitutional amendment, which you should vote no on, because that is one of the ways in which they are destabilizing, or the powers that be are destabilizing public education. Public education is a cornerstone of a healthy democracy. It's been my way to fight for democracy in my small corner, and I would extend that. I think we all recognize we are at a crossroads in this country, and the first thing we need to do is defend our constitutional rights and election integrity so that we can then fight for the things that actually help people make a better life for themselves, which for my personal history has to do with the fact that my family, my parents were poor Southern white folks in Mississippi. My father started working in the paper mill when he was still in high school, but thankfully he served in World War II to get the GI Bill, which then reshaped the trajectory of his life. So he became a teacher. And for the public schools in New Orleans, I'm a product of those public schools, and I worked my way through college before I then had the privilege of becoming a community advocate to fight for the people in my community. And I want to go to Congress so I can fight for you.
Hello, I'm Dan McKay, candidate for Congress 5th District. And I want to tell you a few things about me, a little different from usual. I am absolutely opposed to Donald Trump and Trumpism. That's why I'm running more than any other reason. I was born and raised in Mangum, Louisiana, on a cotton farm. We had about 25 head of cattle. I learned all that, loved it, worked through it. But I went to school at Mangum High School, college at ULM, and law school at LSU. I've never gone to school at a public school in any fashion, private school in any fashion, all public. After college, I was draftable. I was trained as an infantry officer and sent to Vietnam, so I had that experience. Some of the people that behind me like to say that you served on two fronts, because after Vietnam, I got sent to Germany, and that was a Cold War where we were standing there looking at each other, and nobody fired a shot, fortunately, when I was there. But this country has the capability of being the greatest country in the world. And in fact, we have been in the past, but we're not now primarily because of Trumpism and Republicanism in general. It's time we got back to spending money on the country and on our future, and not saying, well, we need to go to Iran and stop them from having a nuclear weapon. Spend it on health care. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I've been a country lawyer for over 40 years. I've been an assistant DA, and before that I was a public defender. I represented all people in all walks of life, but mainly average citizens. And I want to represent you in Congress. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Larry W. Foy, and I was born here in Monroe, but raised in Winsboro, the middle of 7 children. And I became a first generation college graduate. In fact, I've earned at least 3 degrees, studied for 5 altogether at all different levels. For too long, our 5th district has been discussed in terms of what we lack. I am here because I see what we are. We are a community of untapped potential. I recall reading Booker T. Washington gave a famous speech in Atlanta, Georgia, where he held up his hands and said, we could be as separate as the fingers. And then he closed his hand, but as equal or as one as a hand. I want to offer a different vision than that tonight. So I respectfully offer a different vision because separate but equal has never worked in this country. And we know that. I grew up in it, was born in it. It has never worked in this country. Because the grand architect and the creator of a human family didn't purpose us to live separately. He purposed us for community. And so authentic community is built when we join hands to solve our common needs, raising wages for our workers and protecting health care for our rural families and making sure that everyone has the right to vote. When we work together with human decency and we build up one another, then we create a beloved community.
Oh, thank you, Larry. All right, how's it going, guys? Everybody hear me out there? Fantastic, good to know it. That's right, come on now. Falling asleep over here. So we got, my name is Jessee Fleenor, for you guys that don't know me, double S, double E. I'm just a vegetable farmer and a dairy farmer from Tangipahoa Parish, not far from where John Bel Edward lives in Amite City there. I, like I said, grow vegetables, I milk cows, and make cheese and yogurt. I'm not even going to tell you the name of my farm, but we are actually the only creamery licensed to make cow's milk cheese in the state of Louisiana right now, as crazy as that is. So, that's what I do with my time, and I raise my 3 kids out there on my 20-acre farm. And I'd like to just sit out there and play guitar and piddle with my crops, and that would be a good life. But things have really deteriorated in this last year in this country, and I think a lot of us feel that. And it's been really hard on a lot of us. And so it's time for people of goodwill, like the people in this room, to step up and push back against the tyranny and abuse that we're seeing from the highest levels of our federal government. And so that's why I'm throwing my hat in the ring here. This is my second time to do this. I did run for this seat in 2018 and got 30% of the vote, 80,000 votes. That's not going to win you the race, but it did give everybody something to believe in that year and a reason to go to the polls, and we're going to continue to push forward and win it this time.
My name is Lindsay, or Rubia Garcia. I am born and raised in New Orleans, proud product of New Orleans public schools. I'm the mother of 2, the daughter of, the baby of 10 with 8 older brothers, also the daughter of a Marine. So the savagery that you might witness from me in the future, the aggressive assertiveness, really, I believe, comes from them. I was a teacher of history for 10 years. I was an advocate, fought for the men who were killed and the workers who were left inside of the Hard Rock, sat outside the building for 311 days until we brought those men out with dignity. After that, I traveled the country for 30,000 miles to see the protests in 2020 and 2021, and I was injured on the front lines, and I figured I might need a lawyer, so I decided to become one. So I just graduated from the Southern University Law Center in last May, and it was either go take the bar or run for Congress. And one of the main reasons that I ran in this was because if anything like we witnessed today was going to happen, I would be in the position to have the standing in order to file a lawsuit. I am fighting for primarily your constitutional rights across the board. I am fighting for affordability. I am fighting for healthcare. I am fighting for education. I am fighting for anything and everything across the board, from infrastructure. My passions, my problem is they are entirely too broad, and we are in the current flood of the zone of it all that it's hard to grasp onto really genuinely anything. I want to thank you all for coming out here tonight. I know that you could probably be doing anything else on your Thursday, but the fact that you are here means that you care, and I ask for your support and your vote as we go forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, candidates. We'll start with the first question, which will be on voting rights. And we'll start with you, Tania. Okay. With the Callais decision and the actions of the governor today wanting to suspend the congressional elections, how does that affect your plans to continue running for Congress if the legislature redraws the map? How will you protect access to voting and ensure fair, transparent election administration?
In a minute or less. Okay. First, I'm going to say right off the bat that I've written a little Substack post that y'all can go look for more detailed, since I won't be able to answer this in a minute. TaniaNyman.substack.com. But one of the things I wanted to point out about this is I'm a wholehearted supporter of the Voting Rights Act. But one thing we need to recognize is that the Voting Rights Act has not been protecting us from the adverse influence of Citizens United. And that was absolutely evident in the SB 8 map, which is at the heart of Callais versus Louisiana. I've got 30 seconds. So that map is actually an example of how they gamed it under the pretense of drawing a second majority African-American district. They actually cracked the largest African-American parishes, the parishes with the largest African-American populations in the state of Louisiana. You cannot protect a communities of interest voting rights by cracking a communities of interest. So we need to look at that wholesale and recognize that, okay, Citizens United needs to be overturned, and also the John Lewis Voting Rights Act would be nice, and yeah, we'll talk more.
The Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965, a year after the Civil Rights Act was passed. A lot of people say that's when we got true democracy in the United States. Voting is the greatest right anyone has. It's our number one right, and it needs to be exercised. I want to urge everybody to vote. Get your friends out to vote, and maybe if you notice, like some of us have noticed it today, our governor has tried to say we can't have an election in the 5th district until he says so. Well, I think we're going to go to court tomorrow, at least a couple of times, and get that changed, I believe, but watch it. And remember, early voting starts Saturday, 2 days from now, I believe that is. Get your friends out to vote. Make sure they vote. When you go to vote, put somebody else in the car with you, and somebody who doesn't have a ride, make sure they have a ride. Everyone should vote. Exercise that greatest right that we have. Thank you.
One of my fondest memories has to do with my father growing up in Winsboro. When it came voting time and election time, my father had a different walk, a different talk, a whole different air about him, because he was proud to be able to go and vote. Although he knew very well at the time he was voting for the lesser of evil. It was a matter at this time, during these years, voting for the Klan member who was less likely to treat us with any harm if one of us got in trouble. It was voting for a mayor who was most likely a Klan member. and it was voting for presidents as well. Although at this time we were under Lyndon Baines Johnson when that passed, which was the greatest acts that I think has happened in this country. So I learned about voting from my father as a child, and I've never missed one election, a national election or a local election during my time. Your vote is your voice, so vote.
Yeah, you know, guys, today and yesterday were a real big deal for everybody in this country, and then for everyone at this table who I have great respect for. All of these people have been giving their time and effort, energy and money, going around the state, doing events like this. And so for it all, right at the very end, to be thrown into the air and there to be this much uncertainty, it is not only anathema to the democratic process, but a real, kick in the face. But, we could end up seeing the biggest drop in minority representation ever, basically, in this country because of this ruling. I mean, I don't see, if this were to stand, what would prevent the state legislature from removing Troy Carter's district. I mean, it doesn't seem to me that they would keep any minority districts. And so we definitely have to push back on this. One of the things I'd like to see us do in terms of election security and moving forward in terms of lowering the temperature of the political climate, and we'll get back to that, but multi-member districts, me and Tanya don't 100% agree on this, but we need to work a way to work more third parties into our system. It's not possible right now, but it would only take an act of Congress to make multi-member districts.
If you come to learn one thing about me, it's that I am not a very much of a strongly worded letter type person. I am very much boots on the ground, or as my dad would put, boots to butt type language. So it's not about what I would do, it's about what I already did. This morning, on top of coming out here yesterday and spending all time traveling all throughout Monroe, today I went throughout the districts, but in the middle of going throughout Bastrop and Tallulah, I already filed a federal lawsuit on behalf of this district in order to protect your right to vote for a preliminary injunction in order to protect the elections going forward. That is currently, if you see me looking at my phone, it is because I'm waiting to see whether or not the judge has issued the injunction before we're done, so that I can let you know whether or not the injunction is granted, and therefore we continue. But it will not change, and to answer the question, it will not change for me because I am 10 toes down and 2 eyes forward, and I will continue to fight this until the very end, I promise.
This Supreme Court decision is not just going to impact Louisiana, but it is going to spread like a virus across the entire South, disenfranchising racially drawn districts that have given people a voice that haven't had it before. And that is a travesty to our democratic process. The founders of our country envisioned a society run from the bottom up, not the top down. And men don't get to decide who votes and who doesn't. As a member of Congress, I will never support legislation that makes it harder for people to vote. We have to advocate for states to have easier, or we have to provide anti-discrimination laws so that states make it easier to vote. And we have to do better than a 30% turnout, because democracy is not functioning when 30% of the electorate is casting a ballot.
The second question has to do with roads, infrastructure, water, data centers. And we'll start with you, Dan.
All of that, roads and infrastructure.
I'll repeat it. Roads, infrastructure, water, data centers. Here's the question.
All right.
Let me ask the question. I was just giving you the category, okay? Northeast Louisiana has lived for years with major infrastructure promises, high-speed internet, freight mobility, economic development, while basic road conditions and regional connectivity remain persistent frustrations. The new AI Meta data center has been hyped to transform the regional economy. What is your opinion about the economic impact of the data centers? If elected to Congress, what specifically would you prioritize on roads, freight, and regional infrastructure and protect your district from changes to cost of electricity and water and any negative impact from the data centers?
Okay. I've been asked this infrastructure question before, and in 1 minute, I'm going to try to tick off some things real fast. Joe Biden passed a great infrastructure bill, and it's largely unfunded. I've got something that really bothers me bad. We had a chance to have an interstate highway come through Monroe, and would go from Monroe to Houston through Natchitoches or between Natchitoches and Alexandria. That was taken away from us, and we're going to have some rivalry among states because Arkansas has never completed I-49. I-49 has been completed in Louisiana for over 30 years. Arkansas was given that interstate that could have come through Monroe and gone across the state to Houston. We got it taken away from us. I'm going to get it back. That's two things that are big. The data center, we're going to have to wait and see. At first blush, I feel like it's a good thing for Northeast Louisiana because we need the help. For 5 years, we're going to have a lot of economic boom, but after that, we don't know. I have to stop.
I guess we're going this way now. The data center is a mixed bag. On the one hand, you want and we need jobs in this region, but then it's a matter of who's getting those jobs, those permanent jobs. Someone mentioned, one of the candidates for this Senate mentioned earlier that a lot of those jobs, people are being imported in for those jobs. I know down in Winsboro, the Wisner area, just a few miles down from Winsboro, there's a whole new trailer park area built there for people who are coming in, who have been imported in to work on the construction of the data center. So my concern is this: it's sort of like the major oil companies. The people who have the good paying jobs and the highest paying jobs are being imported. They do not live in Louisiana. And this is going to be my concern. This is going to be the same thing with the data center over in the Rayville area, that most of the good paying jobs are going to go to people who are from outside of the state. We need community agreements prior to any data center being constructed, any new data center constructed.
All right, fantastic. The infrastructure question. We love that question. Yeah, you know, I like I said, I did run for this seat in 2018, and it was one of the first opportunities I had to get to a lot of these, especially poor river parishes up and down, from Catahoula up to East Carroll. And I was shocked 8 years ago, guys, at the desperate disrepair that you will witness in some of these communities right here in Louisiana, from people not having access to regular clean water, having sewage just running out right into the yard there, just no city services. And so, in my opinion, we need to really reinvest in these communities. We need to get rid of the concept of billionaires and suck all that money back into the system so that we can actually take care of the American people. And you can count me as an AI skeptic, is what I'll say, and that's putting it lightly. This is not doing anything for our lives, and it's going to lead to an illiterate American populace. So absolutely do not want the data centers.
I am also against data centers if they do not bring jobs, permanent jobs. They will bring temporary construction jobs, but they will not establish the permanent jobs. I would also ask you to look at what has already happened. Amazon has paid over $20 million to citizens in Eastern Oregon because of the amount of nitrate concentration that is now in their water. I will not support anything that does not come along with local hires, guaranteed minimums, making sure that the upgrades are being paid for by the companies and not by you guys absorbing that into your grid and into your rates. Water usage caps, impact studies on the water systems, and federal grid protections for here. As far as the infrastructure, I've spent the last 2 days traveling. I went through Tallulah, I went through Bastrop today. I traveled through all the way through Lake Providence. We are at a point where we have crumbling infrastructure, blighted properties, the roads, the bridges. We can't talk about jobs if we cannot provide the basic infrastructure in order to get to and from these places, as well as education and the like. But I am against data centers because I'm not willing to sacrifice your safety in the meantime.
I do not support. Is this mic on? Okay. Sorry, I just sound quiet. I do not support data centers because I'm tired of Louisiana's resources and labor being exploited. I think that it doesn't make common sense to build a data center here in Louisiana that requires the equipment to be cooled. Jesse, it's hot in August, right? And maybe these suits who don't work outside don't realize that, but it just doesn't make sense to build them here. So I am against data centers. Part of my platform includes a robust infrastructure investment focusing on clean water for every district, because in Louisiana's 4th Congressional District, 70% of our water districts have a C or lower grade, and that is unacceptable. We also have to provide internet access so that our children and our businesses can compete in a digital economy. 30% of households in District 4 can't access the internet. When my wife and I moved from Monroe to Farmerville, we didn't have internet for 3 years, and we can do so much better for our people.
So I can get on the moratorium for new data centers bandwagon. I'm in line with that as well. But I also want to point out that the data center that's coming here in Richland Parish, it's my understanding that the state officials have pretty much given the farm away. They've given so many tax incentives, it doesn't look like it's really going to benefit the local economy. And Mississippi, on top of that, has demonstrated their data center hurt their environment and also undermine the quality of life for the immediate community. And so I would certainly try to see what I could do at the congressional level to remedy that, since it's already been done. But we certainly need a moratorium, but not only for the reasons that it's going to hurt the environment. Please recognize that AI is going to dramatically change our quality of life, our the way of life. And right now we're conceding that power to Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. Those individuals should not be trusted with the well-being of America. I do not think that, as they say, you know, money isn't a problem, but the love of money is, and the love of money is the root of all evil, and we should not be giving that power to people who love money more than anything else. So.
Okay, the last question for this group, and it's just because of the time constraints we have, so this is the last question, all right? It's an affordability and economic pressure question. And Larry, we'll start with you, okay? Families in this district are being squeezed by housing, groceries, utility costs, health care, and wages that often do not go far enough. If elected, what would be your top economic priority to improve the affordability for families in this district? How would you make sure working families are helped?
My top priority would be to raise the federal minimum wage to at least minimum of $15 an hour. Secondly, I would want to make sure that I would do everything within my power to facilitate job growth and jobs with living wages. People work, they work hard, and Louisianans are some of the hardest working people in the country, and they deserve to get paid. No one should be working for $7 to $10 an hour. That's an insult to human dignity in this day and time. So that's what I would do. I would make sure that we have a federal minimum wage, that we have jobs, and require anyone who's going to go into business to pay a living wage.
Well, thank you, Larry. I'd start with that. I 100% agree that the minimum wage needs to be increased. It was increased the last time in 2009. That was before I had kids, guys. You know, I've got 3 kids now, and the youngest is 7. So it's been a minute. So increasing the minimum wage, supporting unions. We need to get rid of this right to work nonsense in this state and get back to actually supporting the hardworking people who work with their hands outside and inside doing real work every single day. You know, and then we need to, you know, if anybody who's driven around, especially the northern parts of this state, realizes that there used to be a lot more people here. All right, it's just that's the clearest day. And so we need to be looking for ways to increase immigration to Louisiana. All right, we need to bring people in. The thing is about an economy that people forget is every dollar I spend is a dollar you make. And that's true of immigrant families too. And so we need to bring those people back.
To jump on the wage bandwagon, as Tania said, I would definitely and obviously increase the minimum wage. We need to invest into, it was a question I was hoping to answer, but Sir Thomas More says, if you suffer your people to be ill-educated and their manners are corrupted from infancy, and then you punish them for having acted upon that which their education first disposed, what is to be concluded that you first create criminals only to punish them? And here in Louisiana, it seems we do not invest in the children. We do not, we are taxing crazily. We are not having the Epstein and the billionaire class pay their fair share in taxes in order to provide some of the resources for us. I would support increasing the minimum wage, the earned income tax credit and expanding that, the child care tax credit and expanding that, and making sure that those who are making the most are paying their fair share in order to make sure that we have the money in order to have the infrastructure and investing into our children by way of education, by way of vocational schools, mental programs, mentorship programs, and also the recreational programs that would uplift our youth and get us to the next level.
How many of y'all have ever worked for minimum wage? You can raise your hand if you have. Because I have, and people deserve better than $7.25 an hour. I believe one of the number one way that we make life better here in North Louisiana is by passing legislation like Medicare for All, so that every single person can access the care that they need and that they deserve without the fear of going bankruptcy, without the fear of bankruptcy, and without the fear of having to find a different job. I believe that we have to fight for more access to fresh, healthy food, and we have to fully fund SNAP, EBT, WIC, and other federal nutrition programs. We have to reverse President Trump's illegal tariffs. They're a stranglehold on small businesses, and I believe small businesses are the backbone of our local economies. We have to reverse the big, ugly bill. No regulation on artificial intelligence for the next 10 years is a death nail to the American worker. There's a lot of work to do, and it's a multifaceted approach to take care of it, but it starts with increasing people's quality of life.
Yes, so I'm running as a newer deal Democrat, and I embrace that because most of the programs we're mentioning were actually started by Franklin Delano Roosevelt during the Great Depression. And those programs is actually what allowed the middle class to expand exponentially in America. And we have been going in the wrong direction because those programs have been attacked. And so broadly speaking, yes, minimum wage, a return to a genuine progressive income tax structure, bolster Social Security by raising the cap. But we also need to look at those antitrust legislations that actually allowed for competition and could expand the economy. So one of them I talk about is the Robinson-Patman Act, which is actually one of the reasons why our rural communities and our small towns and our working class communities are losing small businesses, because the Robinson-Patman Act prevented price discrimination from the monopolies and the large retail outlet chains. So they can't compete. The overall narrative is often, oh, people move away and then those businesses can't survive. The truth is it's the other way around. The businesses die because they can't compete with the monopoly retail chains, and then they die and the people have to move away because they don't have a place to spend their money or to get a job. So we need to look at those pieces of legislation that we have abandoned and recognize that that's what allow us to restore those communities.
Okay, for 1 minute, it was affordability, I think was the main question. What would be my main priority? My main priority would be to get us out of Iran, get us out of that war. There's no reason for it. Trump says it's because it's to stop them from having a nuclear weapon. That's absurd. He told us 8 months before that he had obliterated their nuclear capacity. The Iran war is running up gas prices, and they're running up food prices and every other consumer item and practically everything. It's causing great problems around the world. Get out of Iran. Now I want to say something else that I like to talk about in my campaign, and that is AI. We have an AI world coming. A lot of people are despairing over it, but don't despair. We need to train people to make AI work for us. That's what I'm going to work for. I would say that there's a lot of things that AI can't do. AI doesn't understand emotions. It doesn't understand, really doesn't understand ethics. Doesn't understand empathy or emotion. It doesn't understand happiness or sadness. So AI can't do everything. There's still a human element. If you have writing skills, any kind of creativity, if you design something, you can live in an AI world. If you can't, learn to control AI. If we're gonna teach people to control AI so it doesn't control us.
All right. It's time for your closing statements. All right. And we will start with Jessee. Is it?
Oh, that one wasn't on the whole time, guys. That's all right. All right. Well, good deal. Closing statements. I just want to thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. We all really appreciate it. It's much easier speaking to real people than it is to an empty room. And so I can't thank you guys enough. Like I said, I'm Jessee Fleenor, SSEE. You'll never find votejessee.com if you don't remember the SSEE. It's just going to lead you off into the wilderness of the internet. But, I'm a farmer. That's one of the things I like you to remember. I did graduate with a degree in political science from LSU, with a concentration in international relations. And then I started a vegetable business. So life is long and curious. And I've really enjoyed every bit of it. But we're up here trying to push forward and make this country a better place. I'm just a single dad. I do laundry every day. I wash dishes. I shop my own groceries. But that's an important thing to mention, because we're being run by millionaires and billionaires, guys. I mean, the majority of Congress is millionaires. All of these people in this administration are just swimming in money. And they don't buy their own groceries. They don't do their own laundry, okay? And the thing is, a person like that could never understand the way that we actually live, okay? And so we need people who are regular farmers, teachers, and nurses to go to Congress, and fewer, if any, millionaires, okay? And so one of the things I'd like to leave you with is I really believe that we need to eliminate the concept of billionaires in this country. No, 100%. People like to laugh at first. I think you can have $999 million, and it would take you the whole rest of your life to spend that, and you still wouldn't be able to. But we're going to cut you off right there. You are not allowed to have $1 billion in assets, okay? And one of the things that's doing, allowing these billionaires to get away, when we're about to mint our first trillionaire, is it's really throwing off our sense of social cohesion and what it means to be an American. I mean, one of the main reasons we started this country and threw the British off our back was because of the aristocrats. Those people literally lived in castles and were called lord. And it's true. And now we're getting back to that. I mean, we have people who are lording over us. So I think we need to be thinking out of the box. We need to seriously consider nationalizing Starlink, okay? Nationalize it. Take it away from Elon Musk and give it to the American people, okay, so that everyone has access to the internet. There's a solution right there, all right? Other little things that are very important to me, completely abolish ICE. ICE needs to be completely eliminated. The murders of Alex Preddy and Renee Good are stains that will never be erased, and there's no coming back from that, okay? So ICE needs to be completely abolished, and we need to go back to a more reasonable approach to a secure border like we had before the war on terror years in this whole experiment with DHS. Lastly, I'll say, we need to detach from and isolate the genocidal state of Israel. Okay, this is a seriously important point. Our relationship with the murderous state of Israel is the reason that 9/11 happened, and it is going to drag us into more and more of those types of heartaches down the road if we do not get ourselves out of that toxic relationship. But lastly, we just need to treat each other better. He's telling me to stop. So generally speaking, let's be good to each other, treat each other with dignity, respect, and vote Jessee, whenever we do have a primary. I appreciate you guys.
So I second pretty much everything that you just said. That being said, and I'm obviously a quotes person, and how much time do we have this time around? 3 minutes? All right. Obviously, I'm a quotes person, and Frederick Douglass is actually somebody that's actually really important to me. And if you're familiar with his "If there's no struggle, there is no progress" quote, it goes beyond that. You should really read the whole thing from 1857. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom, but you depreciate the agitation, are men who want crops without plowing the ground. You want rain without thunder and lightning. You will want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. But power will concede nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. You find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you will have found the exact measure of injustices and wrongs which will be imposed upon them, and they will continue until they are resisted with either words or blows or with both. But the limits of tyrants are prescribed only by the endurance of those whom they oppress. I don't know about y'all, but when I say I am sick, I am sick. I am sick of this administration, all the way from the federal to the state to the local level. I am sick of them forgetting who it is that they work for. I am sick of riding around on and seeing the blighted properties and seeing the underfunded schools and seeing our children literally riding through Lake Providence and areas and seeing that there are in Tallulah rather, that there is a school literally right next to the prison. I am at a point and I am sick of it. And if you are sick of it like me, it's why I filed this lawsuit today. And I regret to inform you, I haven't heard about the injunction just yet, but you can follow rubiagarcia.com. On Facebook, elect Rubia Garcia for Congress, or on Instagram, Rubia Garcia for Congress. And I will get you and give you the most important thing. You don't have to like me. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to vote for me. These are all genuinely good people. All of us are. But I do believe that you have the right in order to voice your opinion. And if you are sick of it, like I am sick of it, and you want somebody like me to fight for you, then I ask for you to give me your vote and your support. And I thank you again for coming out tonight.
Again, my name is Conrad Cable. I am the farmer from Farmerville, and like Jessee said, thank y'all so much for being here. Monroe has always felt like home for me. Whenever I was in the 7th grade, the Republicans in Union Parish consolidated our school systems, and both of my parents got a second job and made the sacrifice to send my brother and I to OCS so that we would have a better shot. And I graduated from the University of Louisiana at Monroe. My wife and I lived in the Garden District for several years. I think it was 5 total. And I love this city. I love Ouachita Parish. I love Union Parish. This is a place, and us as a people, we are worth fighting for. And right now, so many things seem up in the air, and I want to encourage all of you to not succumb to a lot of the misinformation that is out right now. Just be patient. We are going to fight. And now that the election isn't on May the 16th, it seems to me like we have even more time to organize more volunteers, to get more people out knocking doors so that we have an even higher turnout in the next primary election than we would have had on May the 16th. And it's time for us to show that democracy can work when organized people beat organized money. But what it is going to take is all of us working together. Here in, well, there's so much of the maps that are up at stake, but Ouachita Parish is one of the most gerrymandered parishes whenever it comes to congressional maps in this state. Your power has been split in half, and you can ask anybody who is on the DPEC what it does for get out the vote efforts whenever you have multi-ballots and many candidates to educate the voters about. Not to mention that what is happening right now is a coordinated effort to suppress our democracy. You don't just have this legislative redrawing, but you have 500,000 people who just got kicked off the voter roll. You have Mike Johnson passing the SAVE Act. It is on us to save our democracy. We can pray and we can plead to God, but God is not going to go to the ballot box for us. We have to pull together and we have to work hard, and we can't take anything for granted.
Yes, I'm Tania Nyman, and a candidate in the 5th Congressional District. And again, you know, I worked my way through school. I'm a product of public schools. I worked for 10 years as an instructor in the Department of English at LSU, and then I became a community advocate in East Baton Rouge Parish fighting for public schools. And I want to give a little sense of what I learned doing that. So, for example, with Jessee Fleenor calling me out on the multi-member districts, why am I opposed to multi-member districts? Because when I researched the history of my local parish school board, I learned that after the Voting Rights Act was passed, multi-member at-large districts were used to suppress the minority voting rights. And so that's why I look at these things in which they get cycled back around. The money figures out how they're like 3 steps ahead, and they start creating marketing campaigns to convince people to accept ideas that are actually not getting them closer to what they want to do. Like charter schools, which is what I've spent a lot of the time trying to raise awareness about, the way in which the Louisiana charter school law is actually being used to systematically disenfranchise communities' voting rights, to siphon our tax dollars into out-of-state corporations so that they profit and it doesn't get invested into our local infrastructure. And they do that with a fundamentally flawed accountability system that targets high poverty districts, which, because of Louisiana's history, is majority African American districts. So it's always those types of things. I've also researched 10Ks and the like so that I can understand and make the case for why industrial tax exemption applications, those programs, are actually unfair to our local communities. And especially Louisiana is the only state that subjects its public schools to ITEP applications, which is why we stay poor. Our tax structure is set up to allow the corporations to make billions and not share it equitably with us. So whenever a business leader touts, oh, we got another industry coming, it does not going to make a difference if we do not change the tax structure so the billionaires pay their fair share. It will never trickle down to us unless we learn to see through the marketing campaigns and recognize when they're snowing us, and that we can actually fight for something that's going to be in the best interest of the people in Louisiana. And so I learned a lot doing that for the past 14 years in East Baton Rouge Parish, and I think it'll serve me well if you send me to Congress. Thank you.
Okay, we got to get to work. First thing is the Medicaid cuts that go into effect right after the election. Wouldn't you know, in late November to December, they're going to cut Medicaid. How does that affect us? Rural hospitals are going to close if we don't stop it. They depend on those Medicaid dollars to survive. There are 34 rural hospitals in Louisiana that are in danger of closing. 17 in the 5th district. I'm going to jump on that first. But the next thing, other things are important. In no particular order, we got to stand up to Donald Trump. He is a authoritarian along the lines of Adolf Hitler. It's got to stop. I will stand up to Donald Trump. We've got to stop the war in Iran. It is for no purpose. We were supposed to learn the lessons of Vietnam. And one is have a clear stated purpose and don't stay forever. Get in and get out if you got to go. Trump never should have done this in the first place, but we're there. And right now, he's got to get approval to stay by Congress. We've got to get a Democratic Congress to get out of Iran. It's causing the gasoline prices that are causing consumer goods because of transportation, if nothing else, and everything from food to whatever consumer items you buy to go up. We can't live like this. I am in favor of an increased minimum wage, and I don't want to try to one-up everybody, but I've already said it before. I've stated a minimum wage higher than I've heard here tonight that I'm in favor of. I love immigrants. We should invite them in. We should be fighting a war over immigrants. That's just another something to add on to the culture wars, which is another thing. We've got to quit having elections based on culture wars. That's just ridiculous. Get serious. We need to get our NATO alliance back together. Back Ukraine, not Iran. Ukraine is winning. And they are winning for democracy and freedom, and that's what they fight for. We don't need some forever war, another one, in the Middle East, and that could go on forever. People are already saying it is the new Cold War. We're starting with Middle Eastern countries. What else we talk about? My time's up. Okay.
Vote for me on Dan McKay. In closing, I return to where I began, Winsboro. I didn't just grow up there. I was shaped by the values of the family and who believe in hard work and looking out for one's neighbor. My father worked 40 years at a cotton gin and barely made enough money to put food on the table. My mother was unable to work because she had the worst level of asthma, probably due to the environment. But nonetheless, they raised a son who went on to earn a bachelor's degree, 2 master's degree, and to study for 2 doctorates. And I've worked for the last 15 years as a public policy advocate and criminal justice reform. And I come here, returning home to bring my experience, my knowledge, and my passion to serve this community. So tonight you heard about policies from raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour to accessible health care. But these are more than just line items in a budget. They are the building blocks of a beloved community, where no child in Morehouse, Madison, Richland, East Carroll, here in Ouachita, and all the way down to East Baton Rouge Parish should go to bed in poverty. I'm running for Congress because I believe our faith must be more than a prayer. It must be a policy. It must be a commitment to treat every person with human dignity. So if you believe that we are stronger together than we are apart, if you believe that we are people of the 5th District deserve a leader and puts their best interest over party loyalty, then I'm asking for your partnership. My name is Larry W. Ford Sr. I am asking for your vote. Let's build the beloved community together. Visit my website, LarryFordForCongress.com. God bless you all.
Candidates, we appreciate you and for sharing with us your vision for our state.